Good morning, welcome back to the One Celtic Fans View this morning. Brendan Rodgers spoke about yesterday about the fact that he had the keys to a Ferrari last season and now he's got the keys to a Honda Civic. No disrespect to anybody with a Honda Civic. I know somebody with a Honda Civic that had 500 brake horsepower, but he was a mechanic for an F1 company. When you look at the league doesn't lie this morning. Celtic have had the last 5 games doesn't look good when it comes to Celtic. 2 draws, 2 wins, and 1 defeat. It's certainly not stuff of champions when you look, and especially when you look at Heart of Midlothian, who are sitting proud at the top of the league, and rightly so. Yeah, it has to be said. They've won their last 5 games. They're on a good run. They play Celtic next week, and you would think that, Celtic, all they had to do yesterday was win against Hearts next week, and then you're back top of the league. We can all have a laugh at the other team that haven't got a manager and all the rest of it, and it's good that they're here for our entertainment. But let's get down to business, and let's face facts. Celtic are in a bad shape at the moment. We all know it, and even Brendan Rodgers knows it. Brendan Rodgers spoke to the media yesterday in depth, and even Brendan Rodgers knows. We've all been crying out for it. We lost Kyogo Furiashi, we lost Adam Ida, we lost Nico Kuhn. 3 players that brought in a number of goals. And for the people that say, but Adam Ida was shite, he brought in 29 goals over 18 months or something to Celtic. A season and a half, 29 goals. That's not to be sniffed at. There's not many players that are scoring goals for Celtic right now. That's for sure. Brendan Rodgers says, I think the challenge from the summer now leading to here, we lost a lot of firepower and goals in the team. When you go into a race and to be given the keys of a Honda Civic, I really want to drive like a Ferrari. It's not going to happen. So until some changes, I have to find solutions because, like I said, goals, speed, everything has to come from the team and the players that we have here now until the next window in January. There's nothing we can do about it. The past is in the past. Whatever happened in the summer's in the past. We need to get onto it. We need to find a way. We had opportunities to do it within the game yesterday. It didn't happen. So now we need to find ways, whether it's a 4-3-3, his favoured formation. I think we need to stop it. I've been crying out for a long time to be 3-5-2. Brendan says whether it's 3-4-3, whether it's 3-4-3, 4-3-3, or 3-5-2. It's starting to sound like Barry Ferguson. We need to look at all these different permutations within the team. The number one that you need to look at, Brendan, is the pace that we come out with from the back. Kasper Schmeichel slows the game down so much. When our defenders take 4 or 5 touches on the ball, it slows the game down too much. You need to be having words with the defenders to start getting them doing the one-touch pass. When you see the team doing one-touch pass, we start to move the ball faster. We're moving the ball far too slow. And we can all see that. Now let's talk about the little mishap yesterday. Now, the incompetence by the board in the summer is one thing. But according to the Celtic Collective, they were going ahead with a new way of protesting against the board. There was no more money going into Celtic Park. But yesterday, the Collective decided that they were going to throw balls onto the pitch to disturb the game and to get their message across. Now, I'm all for protesting at the board and all the rest of it, but when it affects the players, and it did, and the message that I was getting yesterday is that the players are shitting themselves. The players are scared of any repercussions from the protests against the board. Do you know, they've seen what's happened across the city with fan bases, ultras trying to stop players getting to the bus, trying to get to the manager. They're waiting on that type of thing happening at Celtic. You've got a lot of foreign players who know that the ultras scene can be very violent within the European context, and they're worried about the way that it's going at Celtic. And they're shitting themselves. It's the message I got. They're completely shitting themselves. But we need to get this board making some kind of movement. It's not acceptable to go forward the way that we have done over as many years. We do need change, but you need to bring change about in the right way. I mean, I, for one, have been crying out for the fact that, look, if we can get rid of Peter Lawwell, and even if it's on a short-term basis, bring in Martin O'Neill as chairman. Bring in a figurehead, a father figurehead of Celtic. And now it's a strange weekend for Celtic because two of their ex-managers have been sacked. Yes, Ange Postecoglou was sacked yesterday, or the day before, or whenever it was, and then Ronnie Deila has been sacked also. With many calls for Brendan Rodgers to be sacked after only losing one game in the season, I think it's ridiculous that they're calling for his head after one game. We've only lost one game. I mean, let's not get too excited. I think if it was to continue and we were to drop more points, if we drop points against Hearts, if we drop points this week, and then if we go to the semi-final and we lose the semi-final, say, maybe then I'll start getting on the bandwagon of, yeah, maybe it is time for a change of manager. But what manager's going to get any better out of this team? What manager's going to get any better out of the low block? Ange Postecoglou's team was fast attacking and they never had to deal with 10 players sitting in the box. You know, Jota and everything got past them before they went to the low block. That's the problem that Celtic have just now, is they're allowing teams to get back and defend too much. That comes back to the defenders. Like I said before, it comes back to Austin, it comes back to Liam Scales, it comes back to Cameron Carter-Vickers, passing the ball about the back, not getting the ball out wide. Maybe they are missing Alistair Johnston. Maybe they are missing Tyson Maeda. You know, maybe Kieran Tierney coming in and playing in that weird role that he's playing in isn't allowing him to bomb up the pitch. There's something needs to change at Celtic. Brendan Rodgers knows it, and the good thing is hopefully Brendan Rodgers can make some adjustments for the game, because we need to start scoring goals. Yes, you could say that we were actually unlucky yesterday. When you look at the fact that any actual scores and almost scores, it comes off the outside of the post. You're thinking, right, if that goes in, it's a different game. You're thinking Kieran Tierney does what he's done so many times in his first time at Celtic, comes firing into the box and puts the ball in the back of the net, but he pulls it wide. It was un-Kieran Tierney-like. And then you had Callum McGregor in the first half also, trying to take shots, but in a crowded box. And I actually thought that Callum McGregor was one of the better midfielders yesterday. Let's not talk about Rio Hatate and how it took him 80 minutes to take Rio Hatate off. Although, at the time that Rio Hatate got taken off, he seemed to up the pace a bit. He seemed to up his game a bit. The first half an hour, the first 60 minutes of Rio Hatate were terrible yesterday as far as I'm concerned. And let's not talk about another midfielder who was kind of missing the whole game. And then there's Yang. Brendan Rodgers has accepted that he made a massive judgment error, and he pretty much apologised. Yang's not the answer. We all know that Yang's not the answer. He's another player that's at Celtic that isn't really interested in being here. He was sold. We all know what happened to him in the summer. He's got every right to be a bit pissed off, but at the same time you've got to perform. And the problem is, the issue is the players aren't performing. Brendan Rodgers doesn't have a Ferrari. He is driving around the pitch in a Honda Civic, which is unbelievable. Rodgers has told his players that they need to stand up and be counted. He added, I just said there, you really have to be a man, because playing at Celtic is great from the outside when you look in and you're winning trophies and you're playing great football. But you've got pressure to deal with at Celtic. The result of the performance today, just yesterday, wasn't good enough. It's not acceptable for Celtic, says Brendan. I've come here a number of times over a number of years, and that today is not the level that we need to be at. Stephen Presley, obviously, he was delighted. And if you look at Gordon Strachan sitting in the stand for Dundee, that was a fabulous appointment by Dundee. A fabulous appointment by Dundee to bring in Gordon Strachan as director of football, who was influential in bringing Stephen Presley to the club, because he knew what Neil Lennon done after his management at Celtic and thought, Stephen Presley's got it in him. I've got to say, he was right. He played an absolute blinder yesterday. Sat back, hit Celtic on the break, got their 2 goals, and then sat back. We didn't need to do nothing. This Celtic team don't know how to get past us. They don't have it in them. I've said for long enough now, Brendan Rodgers has and the backroom staff, because Brendan Rodgers doesn't set up the training. Brendan Rodgers just comes out, stands, yeah, you're doing well, you're doing well. Brendan Rodgers doesn't set up the coaching that is going on at Lennoxtown on a weekly basis. Why aren't we getting the B team out and just saying, right, you sit in the 18-yard box and we've got to figure out a way past you? It's as simple as that. It's not hard. It's not rocket science. We all know what needs done, but they don't seem to be doing it. They seem to be training the same way that they've... And you could say, well, they've been successful training the way they've trained over the last couple of seasons. We've won 4 in a row on the trot after the COVID season. And, you know, it's been pretty successful so far. Yeah, but the players that we have are just not getting it. So you have to make changes. The low block is getting more and more evident within the Scottish game. Teams know, just sit back. Celtic can't do anything. That Celtic team just don't know how to get past you. The backroom staff, John Kennedy, young Strachan. I wish we did have Gordon Strachan because he wouldn't have the Celtic playing like this. The young Strachan sitting there on his laptop looking at stats. Get the stats and throw them out the window. Get back to proper old school coaching. Set up the way that the opposition sets up. Don't do training to play the way that you want to play because you think that that's the best way to do it. It's not working. Every fan can see it. It's an absolute eyesore at times to watch. And luckily enough, Brendan Rodgers knows it and hopefully he can bring something about. Right, let's talk about the incompetence of the board. Will the board take action if it does go the wrong way over the next? And I hope it doesn't. I sincerely mean that. I hope that it doesn't go the way that it gets that bad where Brendan Rodgers does get the sack. I know there's a lot of people who will say, get rid of him. Bring back Ange. Ange has said he's never going to come back because he's just earned $7 million for 39 days work or something. I mean, if you're going to go down that road, bring Ronnie back. There was lots of tickets available yesterday for the game. For the first time in a long time. There was bus conveners texting each other saying, are you needing any spares? They said it was like the Ronnie years yesterday for spare tickets. That's fans not wanting to go to games because of the football. That's fans not wanting to go to games because they can't be bothered with the stuff that's going on with the board. You know, there's a lot of things going on at Celtic that aren't helping the team. And yes, the team needs to be playing better so that we can motivate and be motivated to back the team even more. When you look at the balls that were chucked onto the pitch yesterday and oranges and all sorts of things, I mean, I'm all for protest and I'm all for getting this board out. But Brendan Rodgers was fuming at the side of the pitch. Do you know, the players were upset. The fact that you had Kasper Schmeichel asking the fans, pleading with the fans, don't do that. Don't upset the flow of the game. Players go through a process where they warm up. You know, they go through a mindset thing. And then if they're to stop for 5 or 10 minutes to pick up balls, it takes a while for them to get back into the throw of things. And with everything else that's going on at Celtic right now, the players need our backing. And people will say, look, the balls didn't stop goals going in. Yes, I get that. But let's not put even more pressure onto the players. That's my point this morning. You have to show real resilience and determination in the way you want to play, says Brendan Rodgers. You can talk all you want about tactical elements, but delivering them is ultimately the hard part. When the players cross the line, you know, they're the ones that have to deliver. We couldn't produce a couple of weeks ago. We can't produce now. What is the way forward? Is it a change of manager? I hope not. Not until at least the end of the season. Anyway, hope you enjoyed the Monday. We can laugh at that lot all we want across the city. The fact that they cannot get a manager to come and join them. We've got a manager that wants to be with us. Let's give him the backing that he deserves. But then some people say he doesn't deserve it. On that note, have a fantastic day, Celtic fans, wherever you are, all around the world.